At a point, we have to start asking, what is the nature of thinking? What is the nature of thought? The reason is because without thought, the human mind cannot know suffering. Without thinking of the past or imagining the future or worrying about the present, there could be no suffering, which means if we were to understand the mechanism of thought, if we were to pick thought apart, find out what it is and who sent it, could we discover the most powerful means of transforming ourselves and transforming our minds? This conversation started from a clip that I want to show you, something profound. And for me, it just got me thinking, like, if we can get, it's not enough to just be a neuroscientist. It's not enough to just be somebody who's read a bunch of books about the subject. I'm saying I want to know from my primary experience, what is the makeup and nature of my thinking? And is it possible? Is it possible that were I to see thought as its own organism, what happens to the way that I interface or interrelate with myself and the world? Let's go ahead and jump to the clip because that's going to set up our conversation for the evening.
This is where, it starts to get a little bit disturbing. Language is an autonomous informational system. One may even call it an organism, and it runs in our brains. It's downloaded in against your will.
By the time you're reading the waiver, it's too late. What makes you think your thoughts are your own? According to groundbreaking work by professors Elon Barinholtz and William Hahn, every word you speak comes from an alien intelligence that installed itself in your brain during infancy. Language, they argue, is an organism that uses human minds as its substrate.
But the point is that I found that to be so fascinating. Now, what they start talking about consciousness and these different, it would be interesting to see what they come up with. For our purposes today, I'm more interested in this question of what if your thoughts are not your own? Where would they have to come from? Which gets us to a question of what is the nature of thinking. So I go into deep meditation over the past week. And this conversation is a conversation. I know it seems like it's everyone I feel like feels like they have their own answer, but truly you would need thousands of hours of meditation, thousands of hours of sitting at the altar of yourself and watching. I'm only interested in them type of answers. I'm not interested in the intellectual, you know what I'm saying, however fascinating they are. I'm interested in the very question of where do our thoughts come from? What is the nature of thinking? And if our thoughts define our reality, what if your thoughts aren't even yours? Ooh. As you can expect, this gets us to the heart of identity, the heart of the self. And so tonight, I'm for real looking to investigate this question, but we can only investigate it by actually looking within ourselves. So that's where we'll be going. Notice the connection with language. This researcher is saying that language itself is like an alien substance that is being programmed. And language and thought, they go together. If you remember back to your, freshman college courses, you might remember something called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. That idea that language constructs reality. You could also say that thought constructs reality. Language and thinking, they go together. And so this person posited that language itself is extraterrestrial. I said, "Oh, that's so fascinating. I don't care what's right. I care about what we can do with what has been said. I don't care about if it's accurate. I care about that energy, that impulse that gets us to ask a new question and therefore arrive at a new answer." So I got to take you to something that I call, I guess I'm calling it the breakthrough binder. Okay, so watch this. Literally, this binder right here is chock full of straight up downloads. Every time, I'll see if I can, and I got a whole bunch of notebooks that are super full, just like this, right? Every time that consciousness, that spirit gives me an insight, I write it down. It'd be 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, often it is 4 in the morning, often it is. And in the middle of the night, I'll get up and start scratching out the insight, because these insights become the base layer of every single thing that I do in terms of transcendent psychology, right? So it becomes a book, it becomes the new love book, it becomes spiritual responsibility, it becomes these different books. And I'm always surprised by what is being said. And so what I want to do is I want to take you through just a few of these entries, because since we last talked, since last week, Sublime is in the room, a commonplace book. Okay, okay. I'm seeing folks coming through saying good evening, good evening. Sublime, good evening. Ferrer. Yo, put your names in the chat so I can shout you out for real, for real. Twin is in the room. Welcome in, welcome in. We have other Twin in the room. Felicity's in the room. Good evening, good evening. Okay, okay, okay. So I started getting into this, right? I started thinking, like, what if what if our thinking is not our own? Right? You have a thought and you get the sense that, well, because it is a memory of your own life, that it must belong to you, that you must have been the one to think it. Hmm. So it feels personal to you. So therefore we automatically assume, oh, of course, this is my private thought. That person is not aware of my private thought. Therefore, this thought must have been birthed by me. Uh, it's the kind of thing that's so obvious that you would almost never say, like why would you ever say anything against the very concept, right? I mean, I talk about spiritual responsibility, taking full ownership over everything that is in your experience. So what would it mean then? And I'm really for real. Like, we for real about to get to the bottom of this tonight. I do not know the answer, but we about to look. Oh yes. Oh yes. So I get into this meditation, right? And I go in and it's the basic meditation. I've been meditating for 16 years. And but it takes that in order just to look and see what the nature of existence is. Or I need to be able to see it from a what we call phenomenological perspective, which is to say that I want to see it from the perspective of my actual lived experience. The science on the situation changes all of the time. It'll always be in flux. There'll always be new data, new variables, I can't wait for all that. I need to know right now, what is the nature of my thoughts? So I get to it, right? And so this one is from January 8th. I guess it would have been about 2 weeks ago that it started, where I saw this video. Then last week we of course had Janelle on. But this week I'm kind of getting back to it, and Just last night, I was finishing up some things. And so, one thing that I started noticing is that negative thoughts seem to arise from a subtle disagreement with reality. That one question started getting me deeper and deeper. I'm like, oh, so where are the thoughts coming from anyway? Like, if were I just to sit and look and stare, where are the thoughts coming from anyway? What even is thinking? And what does the capacity for thought tell me about the nature of reality? Hmm. Hmm.